Hello. I was traveling from Colorado to Arizona. It was a long trip. We had been camping out in Colorado and we'd been driving all day to try to get to Arizona to see my aunt and uncle and stay the night with them there. And on this long trip, my brother and we began to argue in the car. I was tired from being in the car for multiple hours. And I was driving. And frankly, I had lost track of all time and even where we actually were at. I had no sense of location or where I was. I didn't actually realize that we had entered Arizona and that's where we were at. It was dark, and I decided it was time to stop and take a break. So we pulled off the side of the dark road, into the gas station. And as we circled around through the gas station to find a spot to park in, to take a break, there were three men that I saw standing off to the side by a trash can. I parked the car. My brother got out. He walked in to the gas station, and I got out and stood by the car, stretching. And as my brother walked across the lot of the gas station, one of the men shouted out across the lot at my brother. I don't remember what he said. My brother just looked over and continued walking. And I stood there, peering at the man, stretching my body out, and looking over there, wondering who these guys were. What was their story? What happened to these guys? Were they dangerous? Were they nice? Were they just homeless? Who were they? And as I was thinking these thoughts and standing there, the man that had shouted at my brother turned towards me. And I could tell with an abrupt look and stance, and by the language of his body, that he was thinking about me. And a few seconds passed, and he started walking across the lot, and he began walking towards me. And as he began walking, I began to think, what is this man going to do? I must have thought 100 thoughts in that 15 seconds it took him to walk across that lot, through the gas station. And as he got over to me, the first question that he asked was, "Where are you from?" Then he asked me, "What's my name?" And we conversated like that, and I realized that the man posed no threat. And he talked to me about how he had been kicked out of his house by his wife. And we continued to conversate for many minutes. And my brother came back out and joined in with us, and I needed to go to the bathroom as well, so I turned and excused myself and walked into the gas station to use the bathroom. And as I was walking through the lot of the gas station, I looked over at some of the people that were pumping gas, and I began to realize that this was an Indian reservation. All of these people were Indians. The man that I was speaking with, he was an Indian as well. And as I went into the gas station to use the bathroom, the two clerks at the gas station counter, they were also American Indians. So I quickly realized that this area was a population of Indian people. And that's where we had stopped. So I went back out, and as I was walking back out of the bathroom in the gas station, I decided to ask the clerk if he knew the men that were outside. Did he know who they were? Did he know where they were from? He had no clue that anyone was even standing outside. So he did not know those men. So I walked back out, crossed the gas station lot, and back up, and began talking with the Indian man again. He told me that he had worked right there in town for many years, and I told him we had just came from Colorado. He said he had never heard of Colorado Springs or Denver, and I realized how localized the man must have been to never have left his community. And I really wondered about this man as I talked with him. What did he think about me, being an American Indian in the past, and all of the dreadful things that happened, and the fights and the wars? What did this man feel about me being a Caucasian of European descent? Did he have unforgiveness against me? Did he look at me and feel anger for what has happened? And I couldn't help but think, did what happened to this man, being kicked out of his house and being unfortunate on the streets, did part of the things that happened in the past, between taking the land of the Indians and putting them on reservations, did that play a part in why this man is the way that he is? I couldn't help but think these things and wonder, what does this man really feel? But I couldn't feel anything but love from this man. And he shared with me about his spirituality, about the teachings that he learned as a child. And I was very intrigued, and I shared with him about Jesus Christ and about the things that I have learned. And he seemed to have heard these things before and know these things. And I couldn't help but just feel a deep love and compassion for this man, to want to love him. And one of his friends came walking up that had been over there, the three men that were standing together when I first pulled into the gas station. The second man came walking up, and he welcomed himself and said hi. And I could quickly tell that this man was intoxicated. He had been drinking. And I also wondered about this man. What was his story? Why was he standing out on a gas station corner? And why was he drunk? And he quickly began to tell me that he had a drinking problem and that he was an alcoholic. And he asked for prayer. So I prayed for this man right there in that gas station. And I felt the love of God come upon this man. I felt the love of God there with me. That I just wanted to reach out to these men, this is what I felt, and tell them that there are many people that have can't come in the name of love, but never really showed that love. And I wanted to show them a real love there, in a real way. And that man talked about how much he loved Jesus, the man that was drunk, and how he knew Jesus, and how he loved Jesus. And by that time, the third man that was there had come walking up, and this man was also drunk, as I had finished praying for the second man. And I also prayed for the third man, as his friend said, you need to pray for him as well. He's been going through a lot of issues. He has a lot of things and darkness in his life. Pray for this man. So I also prayed for his friend, and I blessed him. And what couldn't have been more than a minute, I looked back up at the second man, and tears were rolling down his eyes. And I saw in that man the love of God. I saw in that Indian man peace and love. And I'm just thankful for that encounter. I'm thankful for that encounter that I was able to experience that. To bring the love of God just by action and faith and listening and doing. And I turned back to the first man that I had talked to, and I told him, I've got to go. We have to get back on the road. I really would like to do much more for you, but here's $5, And I gave them all a hug. Told them that they were loved by God. And I got back in the car. My brother was already sitting inside, shut the door. Looked over at my brother. And he kind of gave me this look of bewilderment and not understanding. But I understood in my heart that even in moments where I feel like I've done something wrong, or maybe I'm not even feeling God, that God can still use me. God can still work through me. And He was always working to show me His witnesses. And those men that day for me were a witness. The love of God was in those men, and it allowed me to see the love of God. After a long trip of being upset and being in arguments, those men allowed me to see the love of God again. They allowed me to see where I wanted to go. They allowed me to see the truth by having compassion and love. And I was able to see the light in those men, even though they were homeless, and many people probably looked down on those men. And those men probably haven't been loved in a long time. And the love of God came through. But that's what the love of God is about. It's about loving anyone and everyone. It includes everyone. It is totally inclusive. No matter of your race, state, stature, status in society, the amount of money that you have in your bank account, we are all loved the same. And we must see people in that way. So that moment, I was able to get my mind back on the truth, back into the Word, which cleanses and cuts the spirit. And I saw the truth. I saw God in those men. And I pray that they are blessed. And I pray that you are blessed as well. So that is my experience with the American Indians. And I remember one last thing that they shouted out before I left. Something that Stone Cold Steve Austin would say. Give me a hell yeah! God bless you. Amen. Have a good day.